but you're not sure how to set up your homeschool room. You don't know what materials to put in it. You don't know what's important. Well, that's what I'm going to talk about with you today, how to set up your homeschool room. I was homeschooled from first grade to 12th grade. I'm homeschooling my 3 boys. We're on our 5th year. And I've lived in a 1,000 square foot apartment and a 4,000 square foot house. I have had multiple rooms and spaces that I've had to adapt to make more efficient. I also had lots of space that I could fill. And so I'm coming to you from all types of situations, and I'm going to tell you what's important, what I found is not that important, and things that are nice to have, but you don't need them to homeschool. I'm going to talk about the furniture and materials that are really helpful and how to set up your space so that your children can have real deep and meaningful learning. So I'm going to take you on a tour of my house. I'm going to show you how I've used these materials in my larger house, and I'll talk to you about how I use them in our 1,000 square foot apartment and how you can adapt it to any space that you have. Now just be aware, these are materials and things that I have found to be important, and these are how I've utilized them in my space. But your situation is going to look different based on your home and your children's needs. So please don't feel like you need to make this your home, or you're going to have to make all of this fit into your house. This is going to look different for you. I'm hoping that they will be open-ended enough that you can adjust them to fit your needs. So let's go look at my house. When choosing a place, you want it to be next to the main living area, whether that's the family room with a big couch or the kitchen. You want to have enough space for them to work, so having a big dining room table is great. You could also use desks or whatever space is going to give you enough space for kids to work on. You want to have bookcases where you can store your books. Children can go pick books. Maybe you don't have room for something like these big Billy bookcases. You could use a Kallax, which comes in lots of different sizes, and I use that in my apartment, our 1,000 square foot apartment. We just had a Kallax with some baskets by our couch with just the books that we were using for that term. These baskets are from Target, and I love putting them next to our couch with the books that we're using for our family gather and for the kids' books they're reading for that term. Another fun way to store and display books are the Mosslanda picture ledges from IKEA. I also use it to store the paintings that we're studying for picture study. When you're storing other things besides books, I love these Alex drawer units from IKEA as well. They are great for holding all kinds of art materials, handicraft materials, and our nature study collection. So what are materials that you want to have? Well, I just like basic things. We have multiple types of paper. We have hot glue guns. We have regular types of glue. We have scissors and paper cutting. We have clay, which is so versatile for all types of subjects from geography to nature study. And I like to have Play-Doh for my younger children. With the Play-Doh and clay, I like to have lots of wooden tools, which you can get on Amazon. My boys love markers, so we have a lot of those in just one drawer. This cool paper holder is from IKEA as well. I like to have various cardstock cut out for Sloyd and origami. These are blank books that the boys record about whatever topic they want to. They love making their own books. And just some blank printer paper for whatever coloring projects, and scratch paper for doodling, and then watercolor paper. And speaking of watercolor, that is the only paints that I have, but tempera and acrylic are also good to have as well. I keep those up because I don't want them to use them on demand. These are some smaller items that I like to have to store our nature collection and other things. Little glass bottles. These trays are from the dollar store, and we like to store nature collection in those. I like to have a little magnifying glass. I collect jars from all over, garage sales, Goodwill. Mason jars work to store things as well. And we have this cool toolbox, also from IKEA, to store our math manipulatives, but you could store so many things in it, like art, crafts, and science. Which brings me to one of my favorite materials that I have, and that is the Montessori movable alphabet and letters, which I feel are essential for the first couple years of school. Now, another thing I love are these trays. I just got them off Amazon, multiple sizes. I store so many activities on them. They're easy to grab and take to a table. I also love baskets. When you have a puzzle, putting the pieces in a basket is much more inviting than just having the puzzle put together. And I use the baskets and the trays together to store activities that my children can just grab and take to a table to play with. I like to have the main materials we use with every subject on the table. You could use mason jars. I have brushes, watercolor brushes. I have these black micro pens for nature journaling, drawing pencils for sketching, for nature journaling as well, and then just regular pencils for their notebooks. Now I'm going to show you how I organize the notebooks, because notebooking is a very important part of the Charlotte Mason method, and having the right notebooks is also really important because this is where kids are going to record their observations, they're going to record copywork, their ideas. So you want to have notebooks and you want to have them organized in a good way so that you can keep them for your records or keep them, make it easy to take pictures of them and just easy to store. So the easiest, most space efficient and environmentally friendly way that I have found is to get a binder like this one. This is actually from the dollar store. It's made of cardboard. It's easy to recycle when it gets too beaten up to use anymore. You just pull out the metal piece and you can recycle this. And the pages in here, you can recycle easily as well. If you don't want to keep them, maybe you just want to keep a couple pages from that year, easy to recycle them. Whereas a lot of other notebooks that are made with plastic are going to be a lot harder to recycle, and they're going to be harder to store as well. So I have them divided by each subject. So this is math. This is just a gridded math notebook page, a PDF that I downloaded for free off the internet and printed off as many sheets as I would need for a semester or a term. Then I have copywork, and these are ones that I made that are available in the curriculum guides. There's different sizes, but I'm sure you can find some PDFs online. And I just printed off as many as I thought I would need. The nice thing is you can print as you go. You don't need to use a full notebook and waste half of it or a quarter of it at the end of the year. So I love using this method. And then I also store his grammar and handwriting in here. And then in the back, I have little, I believe these are trading card protector pockets, and they are on Amazon. And I keep his word study strips in here. This is for spelling and vocabulary. It's called word study, which I will talk about in a different video. So that is one method. Another method is to get notebooks, to purchase notebooks. These are some of our favorites, and this is what we have used this past year. I really like the notebooks. They are from School Nest. They're available on Amazon. The only thing I don't like about notebooks is that if you don't finish the entire year, then there's going to be some left over, which is fine. You can just continue using it until it is gone and then buy new ones. It is harder to store, and if I don't want to store the whole thing, I can tear out pages, but then it's not recyclable and I feel bad just throwing it all in the garbage. So these are options. There are many different colors, different types of notebook for whatever subject you want. There's primary, just has they're wider margins, I guess. So it's gonna look more like this. And they have a century notebook, or century book of centuries, and then their primary spelling. Lots of options in colors. There is another option, which is Juniper Grove journals. So Juniper Grove journals are a really beautiful and smaller way of organizing your notebooks. This is mine. So you buy the cover, which looks like this, And inside there are elastics that you keep your nature journal, your writing, book of centuries, or I guess the century journal is what they call it. They have a lot of options for this. And as you can see, they're held together with these elastics, and they're smaller, there's less paper, so less wasted. And honestly, you don't need a full page for copywork and dictation, which is why I like these smaller half pages. However, they are more expensive because they're handmade by a family here in Indiana. It is a good option for older kids who don't need quite as much space, who write smaller, and it is a more beautiful way of storing your notebooks. So those are three options. One, cheapest, most space efficient. Next would be the notebooks from School Nest, and then more expensive, more beautiful option, which is Juniper Grove journals. And there are a couple other things that I want to show you. One notebook that I love to have, wouldn't really call it a notebook, but it is in our notebook collection. It is a calendar. This is just the large monthly calendar by J Story on Amazon. And I love having calendars for the kids to use. There's so many reasons why a child should keep a calendar. This is what it looks like. It's blank, and the child every day pulls out their calendar and fills it out. So they would put the date, they can put the weather, they can put something fun they're doing. This is a good way for them to know how long until a certain event happens. If it's going to be June 10th, say, okay, count the days until then. It's easy for them to see the days of the week. They can record their firsts of the season, so the first bluebird, the first dandelion, whatever thing they see in nature, the first thing, they can record it here. Also great for recording weather and temperature, so it doubles as a science notebook. I love these. They're about $9-10 each, and they will last you for an entire year. And to store notebooks, I have these metal magazine holders from IKEA. You know how much I love IKEA. And it just holds all their notebooks. If you are using a binder, you don't need it, but you can put in their monthly calendar, you can put any other notebooks that they might need. And the last, I promise this is the last notebook / journal that I'm going to talk to you about, which is the nature journal. It needs to have thicker mixed media or watercolor paper. So I start out with these ones when my kids start school at 6 or 7 years old. This is my youngest's nature journal. Mixed media allows them to do watercolor, but it's not quite as thick and expensive. So this is the mixed media. It's a lot less expensive. And then when they get older and they get better at watercolor and brush drawing, then they graduate to these nicer ones, which are on Amazon. You get 2 in a pack. I think they're about $9 each. So it has a nice little elastic to keep it closed. It has a bookmark so they can easily find where they last left off. And it has nice, thick, high-quality watercolor paper. And I don't have them start using this until their drawings are much more realistic and they have a handle on watercolors. This is something that you want to save for years, so you want something a little higher quality.
So what are some items that I feel are important or that are nice to have but are not essential? First is this beautiful chalkboard that my husband made with just wood and chalkboard paint from Lowe's. I like to record the date, poems, and scriptures that we're memorizing. I also love my pull-down map that I got off Craigslist, but you don't need to have this big map. You can have a smaller wall map. You could have atlases that you can use for geography, but you don't have to have these things. They're just nice to have. And that's it. That is our learning space. Very simple, but very efficient and effective. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can find links in the description.